All right, today we're tackling a pain that's, well, it's sudden, it's intense, and it comes from something as simple as a cold drink. Yep, we're diving into the science of brain freeze.
We've all been there, right? You're just trying to enjoy a milkshake, a slushie, whatever, and then bam. It feels like an ice pick just got jammed into your forehead. It's this super common experience, but what is actually going on inside our heads when that happens?
Believe it or not, this thing we all get has a crazy scientific name, sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia. Seriously, it basically just means nerve pain of the sphenopalatine ganglion. It's a total mouthful, right? Which is exactly why we're going to break it down in, much simpler terms.
Okay, so where does this all begin? Well, the first 5 seconds are absolutely critical. It all comes down to your brain's own built-in fire alarm system.
The second, literally, the second that super cold ice cream or slushie hits the roof of your mouth, your palate, it shocks this whole network of really sensitive nerve receptors up there. This is ground zero. This is where the entire chain reaction kicks off.
And these receptors, they're wired directly into something called the trigeminal nerve. Now, this is one of the biggest nerves in your head. It's responsible for all the feeling in your face. And when it senses that extreme cold, it yanks that fire alarm, sending this urgent danger signal straight up to the brain. And the brain's reaction is, well, it's pretty dramatic. We've actually seen this on MRI scans. The anterior cerebral artery, that's a major blood vessel in your brain, it instantly clamps down. It shrinks by about 35% in just 5 seconds. The brain is basically trying to protect itself, preserve heat by cutting back on blood flow.
So, you'd think that's it, right? This sudden squeezing of an artery must be what causes all that pain. I mean, it makes perfect sense. But here's the twist. That constriction is not the real culprit.
See, the real source of the pain comes from what happens after that initial squeeze. It's not the alarm itself, but the body's massive overreaction to it. This is what we call the rebound headache.
So your body, realizing it might have just cut off too much blood to the brain, completely panics. It hits the emergency brakes and does a total 180. It tries to rewarm the area as fast as it possibly can by flooding it with a huge surge of warm blood. And the scale of this rebound is just wow. That same artery doesn't just go back to normal. Oh no. It overcompensates and balloons out to 150% of its regular size. So think about that. It shrinks by 35%, but then it expands by 50%. That's an even bigger change.
And that right there, that is the source of the pain. That ice pick headache you feel, it's the pain receptors on the outside of that artery screaming because they're being stretched so suddenly and so fast. So it's a pressure headache from the blood rushing back in, not from the cold itself.
Okay, so now that we know what's causing it, how the heck do we stop it? The great news is because we understand the mechanism, we also know how to hit the off switch. Here are 3 quick, science-backed fixes.
All right, here are 3 things you can do the second you feel that pain coming on. First, press your tongue, your nice warm tongue, right up against the roof of your mouth. This warms up that cold spot and tells the trigeminal nerve, hey, false alarm, we're good. Second, sipping some room temperature water does the exact same thing, maybe even a little faster. And finally, you can cup your hands over your mouth and nose and just breathe quickly. You're trapping your own warm breath, which again heats up that palate. See the theme? It's all about warming up that trigger point.
But hang on, this brings up another mystery, right? If this is just a normal biological reflex, why do I get a brain freeze when my friend sitting right next to me doesn't? Well, it turns out your chances of getting one might already be baked into your biology.
So there are really 3 main things at play here. First up, genetics. Yeah, a specific gene variant can actually make some people less sensitive to cold. Pretty cool, huh? On the flip side, people who get migraines are about twice as likely to get brain freeze. Why? Because their trigeminal nerve is already kind of on high alert. And then there's this wild fact. About 30% of people just never feel it at all.
Okay, so given how incredibly intense and sudden this pain is, it's totally natural to wonder, is this actually dangerous? Is it doing any damage to my brain?
So, can it actually hurt you? Well, despite how awful it feels, the experts are really clear on this one. There is absolutely zero evidence that a brain freeze causes any kind of permanent damage. It's a temporary and, thankfully, harmless event, even if it's super unpleasant. In fact, the whole drama is over in a flash.
That overexpanded artery calms right down and gets back to its normal size in about 60 seconds. So while the pain feels really alarming, your body fixes the problem almost immediately.
So next time you get that stabbing headache from a smoothie, instead of just cursing your drink, maybe take a second to appreciate the incredible, high-speed, protective reflex that's happening. Which leaves us with one last thought. What if this really painful reflex is actually a sign that your body's defense system is working perfectly? It probably won't make it hurt any less, but it definitely makes it a whole lot more interesting.